Hey guys, this is Chesney Hawkes here. You are watching My Hammers 11 with the one and only Russ.
Hi everybody, Russ, My Hammers 11. Hope you are all safe and well. If you channel, please consider subscribing, hit the bell icon so you may have any time I put new content on. As always, like to thank our lovely channel sponsors, Untuck It. Check them out in the description below. Another ex-Hammer fan today. My Hammers 11, supporting since the early 60s, so I'm looking forward to these. It's Tony Hoskins. Hi Tony, how are you, man?
I'm really well, Russ, and this so I'm just glad you took up my well, just wanted to be a part of it if possible. After all these years, yeah.
That's what I mean. After all, and actually, that's a lot of, to be honest, when we interview lots of people, no disrespect yourself, Tony, but people really enjoy the more experienced fans because, you know, it's for the most part, a lot of your time supporting the club. I wasn't supporting the club. You know, I wasn't born. So it's nice to sort of not make you feel old or anything, Tony, but you know, that's why I love listening to it. And a lot of people do as well, because it's you know, we know about certain players and we hear about certain players, you know, from stories and stuff like that, but you've got sort of first-hand experience and stuff like that. So that's why I love it. Anytime any fans come over and they want to talk, I'm more than happy to. But how's your bank holiday been? Do you have a lovely bank holiday?
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. So we've been doing well, you know, when you're getting old because you do the garden, don't you? But no, it's been good. So my wife Deborah, we've been out there and we've been revamping our garden, if you like. So it's just been nice and relaxing. And today was good because we had a FaceTime with our little granddaughter up in Shrewsbury, little Florence. So nice to see her. With the pandemic, of course, we haven't been able to see her. So hopefully soon we get spend some quality time with her as well. So yeah, it's been good. It's been nice. Yeah.
It's been nice, isn't it? It's been nice because the weather's been good. Always bank holidays, the weather's always shit, but the second bank holiday mate's always good because my daughter's called Florence, and it's her birthday. It was her birthday over the weekend, so it's always good weather. Always good weather.
I think it's just nice to hear people out in their gardens, actually hearing people.
That's what my next door neighbour said. Yeah, she was like, "It's really nice to hear people just like doing normal stuff now." Yeah.
The burnt barbecues and the smoke everywhere, and
my barbecues never burn. They're cooked to perfection. I'm very much the barbecue king of all church.
You don't use all the tools and all the different.
I just, you know, I've got all the gear, no idea.
I used to do that.
But I don't do the garden, so we have, you know, we got AstroTurf. So there we go. So one hand giveth, the other taketh away. So yeah. So when it comes to a barbecue, that's my forte. But yeah, it's and it's just nice. This is the same as you. I just literally had a relaxing bank holiday. I can't remember having a relaxing bank holiday for a long time. No, particularly as you said when you said before we started. When we look at the table, the league table, obviously the end of the season now, they can't change it now.
No. And there's only one or two, but one main one that I do enjoy looking down, and I'm sure all West Ham fans will know who I'm referring to. You know, you just to finish above them is it could be their year next year, but there's no one in it.
Well, maybe.
Who am I talking about?
Exactly, but if a certain Mr. Kane buggers off, you know, that's a real shame. I was gutted. I was gutted from, absolutely gutted from. You could tell when my voice.
I can see you mopping the tears. Yeah,
I was mopping this. It's not because it's a bit hot today, isn't it? So it's just sweat. But yeah, it was nice, and it was nice because obviously with the fans in the stadium for that last game, the 10,000, they were there. We finished sixth. We finished above Spurs. That's the end of a great season. It's been a great season.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. It wasn't. I mean, to be honest, after the first game. Myself included, you're thinking, oh God, this is going to be a potential to be a long, hard season. But to be fair, the boys, I mean, after the Arsenal game and that, I think the boys done really well. Someone said to me the other day, asked me, did I think? I mean, it doesn't matter what I think, but it's a fact of did we benefit from no crowds? And I said, well, probably in some respects, yes, because I think the players, without the crowd, the players play with no fear. Because if you make a mistake, no one's going to moan at you, you know. So I think there's part of that to it, but I also think it was just the enthusiasm that Moyes put into them. I mean, to see the momentum we had, and then obviously when Lingard turned up. It was just a different level for us. It was a real joy to watch. I know people talk about the West Ham way, but all right, perhaps it's a different way now, isn't it? It's not like my day when I started to watch, and football totally transformed in formations, etc., etc. But I think that's the new West Ham way that we saw there, and it's exciting to watch. It's exciting, lots of pace and movement.
It was, and I think the West Ham way is quite a simple thing. I think, regardless of the, it's about having 11 players on the pitch who all play for each other and have a go, and that and too often than not, we haven't had that. We haven't had 11 players who have had a go and have grown. And I agree with you definitely. Obviously, I've been at the ground all season, and obviously since lockdown, obviously the half of last season as well. So, that having no fans there, I think when times are down, you're totally right, has benefited us. We haven't got in our shell. That Newcastle game would have been awful with 60,000 fans there. It would have been an awful game.
And the Arsenal game.
Yeah, exactly. The Arsenal game. But the adverse is if we had fans in for the Arsenal game at home, we would have never drawn that game. Feels like a defeat, but we'd have gone on to win 4-1, 5-1.
Yeah, and I think the flip side of the coin is the away games are probably referring to more where we've benefited, because would we have gone to a packed Ellen Road? Would we have gone to a packed Goodison Park? We might have. I don't know, but I think it's helped us. I think it's helped us in those type of games. And who cares? We finished sixth. I don't care how we got there. We've done it.
Where others didn't, we took advantage of that situation. And but I think it's benefited us having that, because it allowed the team to gel. It's allowed the team to become a team, and it shows, regardless of whether there's fans or not fans in the stadium, you need that team spirit. Because if there's no fans, how are you going to jig yourself up? You need the rest of your team around you kicking up the arse if you're not doing anything, and want to, whereas some people could have, certain teams put their foot off the pedal. You see, you look at the difference when West Brom played us with some fans in the stadium at their gaff. They were a totally different team to the team they had all season, regardless they've been going down already. But still, and you think, particularly in the tighter grounds, so Hawthorns, Craven Cottage, it's no surprising that all the teams down there, Sheffield United, all those teams had small, tight grounds where they were used to having that intimidating factor at their home. But it's done. We're sixth. The boys have got a European tour. Some of the fans will be able to go and see them, hopefully, and see them away in Europe. And it's a great result, particularly when the whole world's been collapsing. The one thing that hasn't collapsed is West Ham, which is so bizarre. If you could bet your house it would have been West Ham on top of it, just to compare our gloom, but it didn't. So fair play, And there's just so much optimism about the place at the moment. And
like you say, I think the word that you used there was bond, because I've not seen a bond like this in our teams for a long time, and it's good to see. I know there's always a bond between teammates, but this just, you can actually see it the way especially with Soucek, Kufel, those type of players. They're infectious, and I think that's a good infection. And Declan's just been out of his skin, isn't he? And certain players, for me, one of the unsung heroes, and I know he does get mentioned, was Dawson. I just think the guy's been an absolute revelation coming in there, and he's no nonsense, and he does what it says on the tin, sort of thing. He's a good old-fashioned centre half, but he's got something about him as well. I mean, he certainly scores the goals, which is good. Yeah. But we'll talk about centre halves no doubt later.
Yeah, we will do. I'm sure we will do. But also, I mean, I think also, I know they're sort of, they should be doing stuff about the Ham of the Year stuff soon. But I mean, this is the first time in a long time where it hasn't been sort of a foregone conclusion who's going to win it. As I said, there could be 3 or 4 people who could easily win it, and where in previous seasons it's been one standout performer, and it shows how well the team have performed across the board. In that, it could be Soufal, it could be Soucek, it could be Antonio, it could be Declan Rice, it could be and that's great. And that's great. I mean, it's a team game, and we've played as a team this season. So, I think 1 or 2 transfers in, 1 or 2 big players in. I think here and there, a bit of cover in certain positions, and we'll do well.
The year thing is, I've always said it's slightly an age thing as well, isn't it? It's the young kids, the young fans over there will always go for the guy that scores the goal. You know, Antonio's going to be the hero, Lingard and all that. As you get older, you sort of appreciate what certain players do, but they might not be the standout play. I mean, look at Nobes. Whenever Nobes has come in, he's done what Nobes does. He just makes it tick. Declan's always going to be the standout player. And like I said with Dawson, you know, Bonner when he's played, you know, my own one of the most pleasing performances for me this season has been Cresswell. I think he's had a brilliant season, you know, and I see the England squad and the certain players that you think, well, how have they got into it? You know, fringe, but all right, they're probably not going to make the squad. I know he's going to cut that down by 7, but sometimes you think someone's had an outstanding season, make them a part of it. Just you know, not to use it as a reward, because that'd be wholly wrong. But if you're there on merit, and I think he's as good as anyone.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, he has. He's top of the assist charts, and he's had this renaissance under Moyes, really. Same as a number of players have.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a hard hammer of the year this year. But it's nice to have a choice for a change.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's nice. It's rather than just a standout performer. It could be one of 3 or 4, and that's great. And hopefully that continues, because it just shows that it's a team performing rather than necessarily individuals. So it is what it is. So we said at the beginning, you've been a fan since the early 60s. Why the hell, Tony? Why the hell have you been a fan since the early 60s? Well, I
suppose now the social care would be around, wouldn't they, and sort of screaming and shouting at wicked grandparents. But the truth of the story is, and I think I might have mentioned to you, I used to do bits and pieces with Gary in the Overland and Sea.
Yeah.
And he did a thing. Oh, God, my dad was still alive then, so that was 96. So it was before 1996. How I became a hammer. So I thought, I'll send it off to him. I just started writing it down, and so it got to page 6. I thought, oh, bloody hell, better stop. So I phoned him. I said, I'm going to send it over. And he phoned me, and he said, is it finished now? Is that the last one? I said, yeah, that's the last page. To be fair to him, he printed every word verbatim. And it began for me as a 5-year-old. I didn't actually start going till I was 8. It started to me as a 5-year-old, and my nan, God bless her, used to live in Redcliffe Road, just round by the Queen's Market. And she used to tell me that her mum, great grandma's, used to have players lodge at the house in Redcliffe Road. Oh. And one of them was a certain gentleman by the name of James Ruffle. So my nan used to tell me about Jimmy Ruffle. Oh, Jim used to do this, and Jim, and at 5 years old, you ain't got a Scooby, if you know.
Yeah.
Bloody hell's Jimmy Ruffle when he's home. You know, years later, I'm thinking, God, man, if only
I knew, yeah.
You know, and it was all West Ham, the claret and blue, and walking up and down Green Street and all that, and Jimmy Ruffle, and it just captured my imagination, I suppose. And sort of by the time I was 9, oh no, what was I? Yeah, I was 9, was I then? Yeah, didn't go to we suddenly we just hit that purple patch of the 64, 65, and obviously 66. But so my granddad took me to my first game. I've got it down in front of me. 2nd of April 1963 on a Tuesday night, and we had Sheffield Wednesday at home, and we won 2-0. Now everyone says your hero must have been Bob, obviously. Bob. I said no. I said my first hero was Budgie Byrne. And why? Like I said, because he scored a goal. And Tony Scott got a penalty, but Budgie scored a goal. And I come away from there thinking, wow, the lights, everything was just so huge. The noise was incredible. You know, and I'm thinking, God, blimey, you know, it's fantastic. And that was it. That basically, in a nutshell, I was hooked. My granddad used to play for East Ham, and they're all out of East Ham. Or my nan's family, sorry, all out of East Ham and Plaistow around there. My granddad was out of Manor Park. But so I was sort of, that was it. It was West Ham. I mean, I lived in Southend. I was only a stone's throw away from Roots Hall.
Yeah.
At the time, a neighbour of ours used to tell me, because there was 3 guys there. I mean, Ted Fenton had left West Ham and went to manage Southend for a while. But he took Derek Woodley with him. He took Mickey Beasley with him. Andy Smiley. Now I'm I know Andy really well because I go down to the cafe. I don't know if you've ever been down Westcliff to the famous arches, but Andy
No, I haven't. No, I haven't been. But who told me about it? Who told me about it?
Got to be Brian.
Yeah, it would have been Brian. Brian and well, Brian tells me everything, but it was Brian and I think he went with another. It's going to really annoy me now. It may have been Brian.
Eddie
Brian. It was Brian, Eddie Bov, and there was one more. I don't know if it was a player. No, it might have been Jack. I mean, I spoke to Jack the other day, but yeah, they were talking about going there. They're going there to have something to eat.
Yeah, it's just a hub where you go sometimes, and it's just nice to reminisce, you know. And he's a lovely man. But saying they was on my doorstep, I had no interest at all. I was like Upton Park. That's the only place I wanted to go and watch my football, and that's exactly what we did. Yeah, I was there. Well, ever since. I mean, obviously, 64 and 65 was fantastic. For me, 66, when I went to senior school, going in there, because the first day at senior school, like, you stay with your mates that you went to primary school with, and there's all groups, and who do you support? And I mean, it was like being a Man United kid back in the 90s, you know. I support West Ham, don't I? You know, we just won the Cup Winners' Cup and the FA Cup and the World Cup, you know, and at that time you thought, there's only one way it can go now, and Christ, didn't it? You know, had to wait to 75, but no, it was, and as it turned out, most of the school was West Ham. We had a few Goalkeepers and a couple of Chelsea boys. I can't remember any Spurs fans. Well, I'm not saying that for any reason, but I don't think there was. Honestly, I don't think there were. Or if they was, they weren't going to admit it. But...
Not going to admit it, yeah.
No, so that was it. I was really hooked. Yeah, I remember my granddad come home. I must have only been 8, and he bought me a shirt, because you obviously in those days you didn't get the replica shirts, but he got one from somewhere with the big badge on the side, and I put it on like bloody wee Willy Winky. I mean, the arms were sort of hanging down here, sort of thing, but I didn't care, and, you know, sort of got me West Ham shirt on, and yeah, that was it. I was as proud as part. I think I might even still have it somewhere. I don't know. I'm one of these holders with photos and programs and God knows what else. So yeah, that's how it all started. And then, like I said, but it was always round around birthdays and that. I didn't care if it was a birthday clashed with West Ham. Then, Mum, I'm not going to be here because I'm going to West Ham. You know. Yeah, that was it, really.
And then you blink and it's almost been 60 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's, just like saying about Budgie being the hero, but after about the 4th game, something just stuck with me. I mean, I've got a dear friend called Glenn Rotham. He's the same age as me, and we've both got the one thing that we will never, ever forget. And it's only a simple thing. And all it was is when they come out the tunnel, Bob used to just punch that ball out onto the pitch. And if you watch that, and there was just something about that, it was just more. He looked immaculate. He was immaculate, and he was just, I don't know, he's just elevated into like the stratosphere. And he was just God from there on out there, and I still call him God, you know. And obviously, not long after that, obviously when he'd gone, Bill took over then, and I never met Bobby. I was in his company once, again down at Southend, but I just didn't have the bit about me to go and say hello to him.
Yeah.
I'd have done now, but luckily for me, years later, or about 95, I think it was. I'd have to check that out, but it's around about 95. It was when Bill was manager of Millwall.
Yeah.
I was doing a book about London football in the 60s, and what I decided to do was to write about the 10 London clubs, interview 2 players from the time, and a celebrity fan.
Cool.
And for West Ham, obviously, it was going to be Bill and Jeff Hurst. So I was lucky enough to have a contact with Jeff. I found up Millwall Football Club, and to my absolute amazement, they put me through the bill. And I was just like, I couldn't get my words out. And he said, "Oh, come down the training ground," you know. So I did. I went down with my sister, and he was taking a training session. Again, I was just in awe of watching him, because he was doing it twice and then trying to get his message across to the youngsters. And then we've come in and gone upstairs to his room. And I walked in the room, and there was like Mick Flanagan, Ronnie Boyce, Kenny Brown. And I'm thinking, oh my God, what's going on here? And so I had a really lovely interview with him. something clicked, because from that day on, I couldn't. I'm not saying this for any reason. People that know me would tell you, I've lost count how many times I've had meetings with Bill, just for a cup of tea, cup of coffee, and have a chat and all that. And it's a lovely thing. It's a very humbling thing to have. But that day, he said, "How are you getting home?" with my sister Karen. He said, "How are you getting home?" I said, "Oh, on the train." Ronnie Boyce said, "Where do you live then?" I said, "Oh, South End." He said, "I'm going down to see my dad." He said, "I'll give you a lift." And I looked at myself, I said, "I can't believe this." I said, "Bloody Ronnie Boyce has given us." I was going like this. I thought, "No, this is not true."
Yeah.
It was fantastic. And on the back end of that, Ronnie come round to me home about 2 weeks later, and I'd done a lovely interview with Ronnie as well. So that was great. Obviously, Brian Deere. I mean, Brian's lived in Southend, so he's one of my best mates anyway. I'll tell you this now. If they ever, I've always said this, if they ever build a proper museum for West Ham, the only curator you could ever have is Brian Deere. Because that man knows. He's forgotten more than anyone will ever know about West Ham. He's brilliant. Yeah. He's absolutely brilliant, Brian. And he might even tell you about his 5 goals against West Ham.
Yeah, he might mention it. Just once or twice, bless him. But as you said, and obviously you've been fortunate enough to, as when we were talking beforehand, not just that, but obviously doing the stuff with the Great Ormond Street tournament park as well.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously with lots of stuff with Frank as well, wasn't it? So as you're saying, tell us the stories about them, because there were some funny ones. You said it's like a week-long thing in stay in the hotel, by the sounds of it.
Well, yeah, it was. It was staying in the hotel at Upton Park. And what it was, we split it into 3. So you had a morning tournament, 11-a-side tournament, full-size pitch. So my job, or part of it, is what Jeff Garner, his brother Phil, used to be out pitch side. Jeff had announced the players, so we'd get Stevie Bacon over there.
Yeah.
Steve would stand at the top of the steps at the tunnel. I'd be up in that, remember the little control room at the top?
Oh, yes, very well.
You must know that. So I used to sit at the DJ's bit there.
That's right. I used to sit. That's my seat. You sit on my seat.
Exactly right.
Jesus.
It was, yeah. Oh, hold on.
Sitting on my seat.
Yeah, no, I've still
thought there was a dent in it.
I've still got your CD.
I was looking for that.
So when they come out, Jeff used to have to wave, because you couldn't hear in there, could you? You couldn't hear what was going outside.
No,
Jeff used to wave up it bubbles, so the players used to come out to "I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles." Nice. And they'd all come out waving and clapping to imaginary crowd. It was brilliant. Mate, my Bobby Garrard used to do the refereeing over there, and Kev Curran, all like proper referees. And so you'd have the tournament. Frank had guessed for like whoever wanted him to play, but we used to kick off at 9 in the morning, so it was the lads at about 11 o'clock would sort of get Frank, he doesn't do mornings, does he? So he'd come down, but bless his heart, he was always there mixing and having a good laugh with everyone. And then we'd do the afternoon and then the evening. Well, the evening one was the main one, and then we'd have the meal upstairs in the Legends Bar.
Yeah.
And then when we'd finish the meal, I'd go up and do a Q&A with Frank. Basically, he'd just tell us all the stuff. I mean, he told us the fantastic story of he must have told you his was it Captain Bob or Captain George, the helicopter story?
Yeah. So, told that one, yeah.
When he jumped out of the helicopter and all that, and it'd just have people in fits, honestly, and we'd be laughing sort of all evening, and then gradually, as people went, it'd get to the witching hour of about 11 o'clock, and Frank would say, "Well, where are you going now?" Well, my Debs would say, "Oh, I'm going to bed now." I said, I'll just pop downstairs with Frank. So we'd go down to the Ironworks bar, and that was it really. And all of a sudden you'd hear birds singing outside, and he just reminisce, he'd tell you a roll of stories off. Like, it was just so funny. And I mean, a great thing about Frank as well, he says, always got time for everyone. He's a genuinely nice guy. I mean, me and my mate Bobby Garrard, we went to Glasgow. Bob had won a competition to go to Celtic, a Celtic match. So he invited me along because Frank said he'd get us like sorted out, basically. So The trouble is, what we couldn't tell him is me and Bob are Rangers fans. So, we went to see, there's a West Ham link in that. We went to the Celtic St Johnson game, and the manager of St Johnson at the time was Stevie Lomas.
Of course.
So and he got sent off after 10 minutes, Lomi. He had to come up and sit. They got a naughty boys chair where he had to go and sit. So got banging on the windows like giving ha 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 sort of thing, laugh.
Brilliant.
At him. And we met 6 of the Lisbon Lions, which to me was quite humbling because again the West Ham link. Who was it? I forget which one it was now. I think it wasn't Billy McNeil's. I can't remember which one it was, but he had a watch. He was wearing he showed me this watch he was wearing. And he said, "Do you know what that is?" I said, "No." He said, "That's what we got for playing in Bobby Moore's testimonial." I said, "I was at that game." I said, "You drew 3-3. He said, "You've got a good memory." I said, "No, I was bloody old." I said, "But yeah, I was at, who could ever forget being at Bobby's testimonial?"
Of course.
And I've still got a friend of mine, I haven't seen him for donkey's years now, but on that particular Bobby Moore night, there was a load of Celtic in the North Bank. And we're thinking, oh my God, this is a testimonial.
Yeah.
It was in those days as well, and and all of a sudden, my mate, I thought he was singing. He was like getting higher and higher in the pitch in his voice, and I thought he was singing. And it was in the days when your nan used to knit in bloody great woolly scarves and all that, and he had this scarf on, and as he's going, what are you doing? Someone had lobbed a meat pie down the back of the North Bank. It had landed right on the back of this woolen scarf, and all the hot meat was running around. Oh, you couldn't make it out, honestly.
Man.
Oh, that's yeah. I mean, it's like, I'm sorry, I'm going for a tangent, but those weeks with Frank. I mean, the Ormond Street games were absolutely brilliant. Because what we did with that, we'd finish the Frank tournaments and we'd try to do the Ormond Street on the Friday evening. So what we did, we got TC, Tony Cotty to get a side together. I mean, one of the sides, I'll send you a picture of one of the sides, and we had obviously our old mate Alan McKnight, we had Ian Pearce, Julian Dix, Kevin Keane, Rob Lee, Mark Ward, Potsy, Stuart Slater, Nigel Winterburn. I can't remember them all. They'll kill me forgetting them. Diggo, Alan Diggins.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a great. What it was, the guys paid money to play against them, but we had people coming through the turnstiles to raise money for the Great Ormond Street. I've got a few of my mates, Martin Russ and all his family, set up in the players bit by the dugout, so that made it. We always tried to share things like that about. Like I said, whenever I went over to meet Bill, I always took a friend with me. Yep. I wouldn't tell him who I was meeting. When my mate Glennie Rowe from the telly this, we always met at the same place over the Dartford Bridge, the Hilton Hotel. Yeah. So Glenn said, "Who are we meeting?" So just someone I know from West Ham. So I sort of left it at that. And we got in there, and the doors have opened. And as we got in, Glenn's grabbed my arm. He's gone, "Billy Bonds over there." I went, "Sorry?" He said, Billy Bonds is over there." I went, "Oh yeah." So we've walked in. He went to me, "Oh yeah." So he says, "Billy Bonds." I said, "I know." So we've walked in. Bill's gone, "Hello, Tony." He said, "I've got a coffee." He said, "If you and your mate want to get one." My mate's turned around. He's gone, "Hello, Tony." He said, "Hello, King Tony." He said, "What's all that about?" I said, "If I'd have told you, you wouldn't have come." And it was great. It was just lovely for him sitting there chatting away. So with the Ormond Street, the camaraderie was fantastic.
Of course.
We had a guy, Mickey West. Someone dropped out, and Tony said, "Do you know anyone that could play up front for us?" I said, "Yeah, a guy called Mickey West." I said, "Good little lad, not a bad player." So I said, "We'll go and get him, bring him down to the dressing room." So what had happened is he missed out on paying to play against them. So his brother was playing, and he was giving him all, "You're not playing, I am," and all that. So I said to him, "Come down with me, mate." So he's gone down there. I said, "Give us a hand, hang the shirts up in the away dressing room, like where the West Ham players are changing." He said, "I can't go in there." I said, "Go on." I said, "Come in there." So he'd gone in, and Tony was sat down. There weren't any other players, quite early. So I've gone, "Hello, Tony." Says my mate Martin. He said, "Oh, hello, mate. How are you?" Like chatting away. He said, "Have you got your kit with you? Your boots with you?" tomorrow's gone. I've always got my boots with me, Tone, always. He said, well, go and get them. He said, you're playing for West Ham tonight. So he looked at me, he's gone, yeah, good one. He said, what's all this about then? He said, you've set me up here. I said, I can assure you I haven't.
Not, yeah.
So he was like Linford Christie, Russ, honestly. He's gone out through that reception area, he's back with his boots, and he played for West Ham, and I watched him lying up in the tunnel. And as they've come out, like Stevie Bacon, like that, doing the old photos, and I'm forever blowing bubbles. I think we had 2,500 people in the old West Lower and all clapping that. He's coming out, giving it all the wave and all that. And he played for West Ham. Tony brought him off, I think it was 5 minutes from time, just so he could get his clap for everyone.
Yeah.
And he come off, and the cheeky little git, I couldn't believe what he did. There was these kids holding these books up. He's only walking along the front, giving it all this, like, and posing for photos. Like, he's absolutely been a star. And I saw him 2 weeks ago, and that's quite a long time ago. And he dropped on his knees in front of giving me all that. He said, you made me, he said, the happiest play. He said, I said, oh, shut up, get out of this soppy sod. He said, but he said, you couldn't have done anything better than that. He said, because I played for West Ham.
Yeah. Hi everybody, I'm sorry to interrupt the episode, but I'd just like to say that today's episode is actually sponsored by our friends at Manscape. So thank you to Manscape for sponsoring the episode. You'll see here they've sent me some stuff to show you as well, so your balls will thank you. All fantastically designed and packaged. I love it. I love a bit of packaging. But the whole idea of Manscaped is to make sure that down there is all trimmed up as well as up here. That's all. Simple concept. But here's the main thing. It comes with, here's the main boy, the Lawnmower 3.0. There we go. With a little light I've just noticed as well, so you can do Morse code in between. So not SOS, but to make sure you know where, you can see what you're doing, particularly if it's, in the shower or whatnot as well. It's all skin-safe technology, so the idea is, look at that. Oh, smoothing a baby's bottom, back of my hand is. So it means you don't nick the old... comes with a free guard as well. You can get interchangeable blades as well to make sure that it's all nice and hygienic, which is good. What else we got here? I mean, look at this properly. Yeah, we've got some ball toner, crop reviver, for an anytime pick me up. Spritz your goods once or twice, always twice, always twice, always double dip, and let air dry. So I'll make sure I lock the back door for that. Look, not the back door, the bathroom door. lock the bathroom door and let the old boys dry. More berries than twig. Oh, I suppose the twig has to dry as well, but it's mainly the berries. What else we got here? We've got ball deodorant, crop preserver, anti-chafing ball deodorant. Yeah, give that one a go as well. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to this. What else we got? It comes with free gifts as well. So we've got here a pair of boxer shorts, anti-chafing boxing shorts, and sweat wicking fibers, prevent anti-chafing and swamp crotch. We all don't like swamp crotch, do we? So that's good. It comes with a free bag as well to put it all in, all leather. Proper stuff that is, and it comes with these mats as well, which are basically newspaper type mats made of old school like newspaper paper. So the idea is you put this on the floor when you do the whole the old what's it called, shaving, that's the one, and then you can scrunch them up, not the balls, I meant the newspaper, and put it in the bin. So it's all good. Anyway, if you want to get involved, description, all the information is in the description below, in the video description. Hit the link. Because you're part of the My Hammers 11 community, you get 20% off by putting the promo code in the description, plus free shipping. That ain't bad, is it? Anyway, get involved, and back to the video. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
I played for West Ham. He said, what more could I have done? I said, well, you could have scored the goal that you should have got in the first half. I'm not being critical. He said, yeah. He said, but I had Julian Dix behind me, screaming at me to give him the ball back. He said, that's why I never took the shot or give it to him. I said, oh, right, okay.
Fair play.
Yeah. No, that was so we shared loads and loads of things like that. Funny moments. Well,
it is, and the one thing that sort of is a common thread with all of them is they're just... all the ex-players are just genuinely nice blokes. Honestly, they're just all... I mean, I've been very privileged enough to interview, I think about 70, 75 that we've had on the channel so far, whether they're Julian Dix, Macca, TC, all the way to Luke Chadwick and John Pantsill.
Yeah.
But they're all just really, really lovely guys. And that's the thing that I don't think surprised me. But obviously, I never sort of went into that world really, so I think maybe I put people on pedestals a bit, but actually when you talk to them, they're just like, as you said, like Macca would do anything for anyone, and I know that more than anyone. He's helped me out a few times, and Trevor Sinclair and various others, and they're all just lovely, but they all love their time at West Ham. They all loved it.
They're all it goes right away back. I mean, that's like that, just touching on that book thing I was doing when I've done the interview with Jeff Hurst, and one of my, because it was all about London football in the 60s, because I love the 60s. And I remember Jeff answering one of the questions, and he said the thing was, he said we drove the same car that supporters had. He said there was no big time Charlies. He said he said I had a Mark 1 called Tina. He said, and so did half the fans. He said, and that was the way it was. He said it was just. I'm not going to get drawn on the modern day player because I don't know. It's different now, isn't it, for them? They're and they live their life on social media, but I don't think they come across as I wouldn't say not approachable. They're just not allowed to, are they? I think it's a common theme that happens quite a lot, Tony. Obviously, we interview lots of players from not even a bygone era, really. So obviously, we've interviewed Brian and people like that, but we've interviewed guys who have been with the club, maybe like people like Julian Faubert and people like that, and when you interview them all, you hear their stories and I think I was interviewing a journalist the other day, and I was saying to them, I was like, I miss footballers having personalities. You know what I mean? They all seem very professional and very nowadays. I'm not saying they weren't professional before, but they seem to almost like they're finely. I know exactly what you mean. You know what I mean? They're like finely tuned athletes and stuff. Yeah. And like, I mean, I used to live in Loughton, and obviously all the West Ham lot and Tottenham lot used to live in Loughton because it was close to Chadwell Heath, it was close to Tottenham's training ground. And I used to work at Safeways, and I tell you a story quite a lot. And I told Shaka actually, because Shaka would go in every Friday and do his big shop in Safeways, and you'd see him because he was so tall. And I'd always change if they were playing at home. Basically, they'd always do his big shop. So I'd always make sure my shift was Friday, like 5 o'clock. So I'd say and have a chat with him. And now you wouldn't get no disrespect to Manuel Lanzini, but you wouldn't get the Manuel Lanzini going to the co-op and picking up a pint of milk. You wouldn't, would you? And it's like, we spoke about sort of how just before we started, how you do a lot of the sort of the ex-Hammer nights and stuff like that, and we've got a few coming up soon. I'm really looking forward to. And as you said, you'd go and watch Macca tell the same stories that he told the last time, but you go because he's just so approachable and such a lovely guy. Yeah. In 20, 30 years' time, I don't think the Queens are going to host a Hammer's Hero, night with Sebastian Haller and Felipe Lanzini in it. I'm not digging out Lanzini rather at all. But I know what you mean.
You know what I mean? It's just the personality. But I think it's because social media. That's what the journalist guy was saying. I mean, now, Russ, they can't say anything. If they say one bad thing or something out of context, that's £2-3 million worth of commercial deals gone.
Absolutely, and I think that's the problem. I mean, when we did the shows. Our first one that Jeff and I did was at the Bell Pub down the A13 in Southend, opposite where I lived. Yeah. They said, can we do a night over there? I said, well, yeah. I said, do an evening with Tony Cottee.
Yeah.
I think we had about 70 people in this small room. And you could have heard a pin drop. They hung on every word that he said. Yeah. I mean, now they see him all the time because he lives near there. But the point I'm making is that and that's how it started, really. And I met Tony, or both the Tonys. I was the press officer at Thurrock, or Purfleet as it was at the time. And they wanted to play the Boys of 86. And that's how it came about. We had a meeting, met Gailey and TC there. And again, in life, something just clicks with people. Yeah. And I mean, it's just been a friendship ever since of 20 plus years. I mean, they both come to my wedding. I went to Tony Cottee's wedding. He didn't invite me to bloody Dubai, but we went to the reception over here. But I had some heart problems a couple of weeks before we got married. And at the reception, I said to my best man, Glenn, who I took to meet Bonzo, I said, don't let Gailey near the mic. Well, he said, no. So he stood out. He said, "No," he said, like all good men speeches. He said, "I'd like to introduce Tony Gale." I thought, "Oh, you get And Gailey come out, 'cause he's tall, and he Gailey, and he come out instantly. He said to me, he said, "How's the old ticket then, Tone?" I said, "Yeah, all right, thanks, Gailey." So he's opened his pocket out, like took an envelope out, and he's gone, "I asked you obituaries, we don't need that one now, do we? You've written this envelope." And then I said, "That's Gailey, isn't it? You never know what you're going to get." But so funny. That really was. I've still got the video of that, but that was amusing. Excuse me. But no, and that's how it started off. And then we done a show. I remember we did a show, the West Ham's Greatest 11. We called it a day. And what happened on the night? I meant to get a photo out of the show, but on the night we had Sir Trevor there, Parksy, Dev, and Devonshire, Brian Deere, Dixie, Gailey, TC, who hosted it, and Bill, but Bill couldn't make it. So at the 11th hour, Alan Kirbishley stood in, and he was manager. He was manager at the time, so that really sort of helped. So we had over 1,000 people in at the Chris Pavilion down at Southend. And what it was, Gailey had this great big board on the stage, and you had to write down 5 names for each position. And he went along the panel, and they had to pick it. Well, when it got to left back, oh my God, that was because Julian's on stage. You can imagine it, absolute uproar it was when Frank's name went up there. But yeah, that was funny. But that show, that's funny, isn't it? That show, and then that was brilliant. And then we done a Bobby Moore show. Yeah, I'll tell you a really true, poignant story about that. We had Jonathan Pearce, Mike Summerby, Mike Summerby, Billy Bonds, Sir Trev, and Mullers, Alan Mullery. I know Mullers from other things, so I had Mullers there, and Gailey hosting it. And I'll tell you what, right at the very end, I mean, they'd all sort of stories about Morrow and all the rest of it.
Of course, yeah.
Particularly Piercy and Mike Summerby. And right at the very end, Tony just said, like, why, what's the main reason that you've come down, you love with Bobby and all that. And Mike Summerby said, he said, you all know, he said, that I've got some health issues at the moment. He said, and I've got to be at Manchester Royal Infirmary at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. This is like 11 o'clock at night in Southend.
Wow.
He said, that's about 300 miles. He said, I'll tell you what, he said, I'd have walked every one of those 300 miles to be here with you people tonight to talk about this man. And it made the hair stand at the back of your neck. Yeah, of course. I think Gailey said, oh, well, that's finished on a really cheerful note. Everyone's crying there. But or something like that just to break the atmosphere.
Break the ice, yeah.
What a thing to say! What a thing to say! It was
incredible.
That was another one. But we've done loads of evenings like at the theatres, and like you say, it doesn't matter who they are. It don't. And I used to look at the audience and think, oh, blimey, they look young. But all of a sudden, Keithy Robson had come out on stage, Pikey and all that, and the kids were just there because they're West Ham.
Yeah, exactly.
Their dad's talking about it. It's just. I don't know about you, but I mean, at school as I was a teenager, people used to say, so why do you support West Ham? And we all had the same saying. An instant answer was West Ham, innit? Yeah. No one ever knew what that meant, but we all said it.
But we knew, you're right.
I don't know, but we all said it. It's West Ham, isn't it?
I know exactly what you mean. It's like an inherent thing, and it breeds a certain type of fan. Has to be a West Ham fan. It is. You can't describe it what it is to be a West Ham fan, but you know it when you see it. Oh, he's West Ham. You can tell.
You know they are. Yeah, it's just weird. It's just one of those things unique to us. I know everyone says their club's unique, but I think we are.
I think we are because I think you know, I've been obviously privileged enough to interview loads of fans, loads of ex-players, you know, with over 300 in the last year. And whether they're from Basildon or they're from Bangalore or they're from Brisbane or they're from, I can't, wherever, I've run out of B's. But they're all the same. They're all the same. And it's that inherent, I think it's that inherent, it's funny because it's like some people who have never stepped foot in Newham at all, but they embody the traits of being a West Ham fan. The fact is, it is that East End spirit. It is that sort of almost what's the word, like sadist approach, because you know every year they're going to let you down, but you have this thought every season, apart from this season maybe, you've had this sort of, particularly in my lifetime, you know, you have this sort of like blind optimism that we're going to win the cup this year or whatever, and you know, you go, oh, here we go, that's it. But let's start again. Next year, it's our year. Next year,
but we can moan about it. But God help anyone outside that are West Ham fans, because I won't have none of that. It's still
exactly.
I remember my friend Marty Muss, his dear old dad Reg used to come round here. God rest him, lovely man. I was in awe of him because I used to sit and listen to his stories from when he was growing up. Because you know, I was telling him about when I started in the 60s. He said, you don't know nothing, boy. He said, I started going over there in 1940, whatever it was. But he used to say the same. He said, you used to come away. He said, sometimes you come away and you bloody hate them. He said, you know, but he said, you couldn't wait for the next game. He said, you couldn't wait. And, you know, and I used to love listening to him, you know, and listening to my granddad, because they've experienced what I've experienced. Hopefully, you know, you sort of pass on your experiences. Because in a way, it's your history, isn't it? I know people can get the written history, but for the likes of me, who hasn't played for the club, I think there's a lot of history there as well, isn't there? In like the same kind of memories, and you know, the Ken's Caff, round the corner to the East Ham Working Men's Club, few beers, run round the ground, watch the game, back round the East Ham Working Men's Club, you know, and then back home or in the bowling or whatever, pie and mash at night. That's folklore. It's true folklore, isn't it?
It's true. It's really true. It's really true, and I think regardless of what generation you've joined the West Ham family, I think everyone has those sort of similar sort of like experiences. You know, obviously, as you said, you came pretty much in the pomp, in the golden era, really. You know, and so you've had that, but you've obviously had quite a few lows in between. The highs aren't so, for a lot of people, myself, we have, I was born in 81, so I haven't seen us win anything apart from the Cup and a few Betway Cups, but apart that's that really. So it's, and I think, but it's just this collective spirit, and actually I think that's why I like doing these shows, because we hear the experiences of you that you had during the 60s and stuff like that, and there's albeit different players, the actual experiences are still the same, whether it's going to Ken's Caff or smelling the dodgy burgers on outside Green Street and all that type of stuff, the cut grass at Upton Park and all those memories which everyone can relate to. And I know,
a good old band that used to march around. Do you remember?
Yes. No, I don't remember. We brought it back, didn't we? We brought it back for the play. I remember the playoffs. I think it was we brought back the hornpipe gallop for the Ipswich game. I remember we did that, and we brought back the band for the last game at the bowling as well, didn't we? So the marching
they used to have the A to Z, didn't they, around the corners, because they used to drop the half times in. We was playing Man United at home. Me and my mate Stevie Lynch, we found this bench. So we thought, that's a bit of luck. So we nicked the bench, put that right by the corner flag, and we knelt up on that. That's absolutely perfect. Well, these old boys come out, and they was hunting up and down. I said, Steve, do you know what they're looking for? And he said, yeah, it's obvious. And all of a sudden we got a tap on the shoulder, and the two old boys from St John's said, would you mind if we had our bench back, chaps? He said, we used to watch them put the scores in at half time.
Brilliant.
On things you say, special memories. My 21st birthday, Russ, you could not make it up. Because my 21st birthday was the 14th of April, 1976, the night we played Eintracht Frankfurt. And
of course.
I will take to my grave with me that night, not because it was my birthday, but I can honestly say, hand on heart, that is the greatest game and the greatest night I've ever had at Upton Park. It was absolutely brilliant. Atmosphere, everything. I was at the Tbilisi game when we clapped them off. I mean, we got done 4-0, but it was because you've seen a different brand of football, and they deserved their clap, you know, and so did our players for having a go. But at Eintracht Frankfurt, and again years later doing the shows, meeting up with Robbo, you know, I still say to you now, I said, how did you ever do that goal? I said, you know, I said, because you sort of miscontrolled it, and no, I didn't even miscontrol, you know, I know I didn't. But what a goal. And then Trevor scoring his goal. That was, you couldn't make it up for a 21st birthday, could you?
No, not at all. And obviously a bit of sort of, you know, sort of full circle. Obviously we could potentially get him in the Europa League.
Well, there you go.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
It would. Nice. Trouble is, I'm not 21, but there you go.
No, but it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, does it?
No, it's only a number.
You can exactly. At your age, no, at your shoe size, not your age, you'll be fine. Right, let's go on to your 11. So obviously, as you said, early 60s all the way. It's I can imagine it's a real nightmare because there's so many players that have come and gone. So, as I said, what we try and do is get people to pick their 11. You can pick based on whatever criteria you want. It doesn't have to be the best. It could be your fans' favourites, maybe the guys you interacted best with. It doesn't really matter, really. But the only rule is you have to be alive to have seen them play, which is fine for someone like you because, to be honest, most of the good players you've seen play. Whereas, obviously, I didn't see Moro, Bonzo, Brookins, so they weren't in my 11. Which is disappointing, but that's the way it goes. Otherwise, everyone had the same bloody 11.
You've got to have a criteria, wouldn't you? Otherwise,
you've got to have criteria. You've got to have criteria, Tony. So,
my friend, when I told him I was doing this, he said, "Oh, are you going to tell him what it was like to watch Charlie Painter in the dugout and like sit Puddyfoot running up?" I said, "Nah."
Right. So let's start off between the sticks.
Right. Can I go 4-3-3?
You can go whatever you want to do, man.
I've got to, otherwise I'll get, because a certain person will lynch me if I don't put him in. But right, okay. Between the sticks, obviously the first keeper I saw was Jimmy Standen, Bobby Ferguson. When you're young, you're impressionable, and you think, "Oh, blimey, fantastic!" I like Jimmy Standen. I think he's a good goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Then I suppose moving on down the years, Ludo arrived, who absolutely second to none in that sense. But for me, I've got to go with my mate Parksy.
Yeah,
I just think Phil was he was just different class, and he made it look easy. Phil,
yeah,
I can't ever remember him flapping or anything. He was a presence. Just a great goalkeeper, Parksy, and a lovely man as well.
Yeah.
Him and Lavinia know them well, and Parks is my man for the goalkeeper.
Yeah. As you said, for someone like particularly Parksy, it seems you're right. When people pick Phil, that's one of the things I say. Is he was like a gentle giant. He was effortless in terms of how he was just a big lad. And it was obviously he was probably the last. Goalkeepers which were big, he was a huge man, whereas, Ludo came in, arguably he was more athletic, like a modern goalkeeper. But Parksy had that.
Shaka, Yaskalainen,
we've done all right.
Mervyn.
Mervyn
was in my thoughts, but it never moved on and on like we thought it would with Mervyn. Yeah. But now for me, Parksy, especially the West Brom game that won us the cup. If you look at our cup run, he was immense that day. Yeah. He was immense that day, Phil. So, I'd have Phil. Phil's my goalkeeper.
Cool. All right, so Phil's in. Right, so we'll go back four. Let's go left back then.
I knew you were going to start with that. Right, okay. Because I sent Dixie a text the other week, said, I hope everything's all right and we must get out for a beer again soon. And he went, definitely. So now I've got to pick me left back. So my beer's gone out the window because I've got the reason I'm going to go for Frankie Lampard Senior is just for the fact that he come back from that league, that broken league.
Yeah.
He won like 2 FA Cups, Cup Winners' Cup. The night at Ellen Road, which no one could ever forget, when he ran around the corner flag.
Of course, yeah.
And he played for England. And I think he was. I mean, Julian was a fantastic footballer, without a doubt, and a cult hero. But Lamp Lampard just and like you say, it's an age thing as well. You know, I watched an awful lot of, and I watched a lot of Julian, but Frankie Lampard just edges it.
No,
sorry,
Julian. And he'll take it really, and Julian will take it really personally.
Good job it's not live, because you'd see me going like this now, wouldn't you? I'm so sorry, Matt.
Exactly. Oh dear. Oh yeah, it was funny when I interviewed Julian. We had he was like, we was talking. I was like, you know, Julian, you scored my first ever goal I saw at Upton Park, you know, against Oxford United. He went, I scored 2 that day, Russ. I know you scored 2, but you scored the first goal I saw. And yeah, he put himself left back, obviously. Right, okay, let's go the other side. Let's go right back then.
Oh God, right, another mate of mine's not going to be happy, but this was a tough one. This is why I've gone for a back 4. Seen some very good right backs. I mean, obviously Ray Stewart was him at bad.
Yeah.
But I'm going to put Bill there, Billy Bonds. And the reason why is I was at the first game when we signed him.
Yeah.
This just unbelievably fit guy with the number 2 on his back. He, you know, who's Linford Christie? Because he was just up and down like with pace. And the thing is with Bill as well, people say how strong he was and tough tackler and that. One thing I always thought of Bill was what a footballer as well. What a good passer of the ball. He could score his goals. You know, he's what you could call a classic West Ham player, because he could see the picture every time. You know, and I think he just complimented. Well, when I get onto my midfield, just complimented each other. But what a fantastic player. Happy to know him, and as a man, he's just he's a colossus. I can't sing his praises high enough. But as a footballer for our club, and you know, to come across from Charlton as well, great. I did the thing for Julian when he was the ladies' manager. He said to me one night, he said, "Would you come out to Upton Park and do a Q&A for me and Bill?" He said, "For the ladies." "Yeah, of course we will." And I said to Bill, I said, "Do you remember how much I paid for you?" He said, "Yeah, it's 49.5 grand or 47." He said, "Yeah." I said, "So we paid £1 million for Marco Boogers." He went, "Oh, don't start all this."
Don't give me spoilers about who you're going to play up front with Marco. Don't mention. You know what, Marco Boogers, he's the only one. He's the only player who's turned me down for an interview.
No way.
Yeah. Only one.
Can I ask why?
I don't know.
Out the caravan.
Yeah, no, I just think he's probably had enough of people asking him about that. Do you know what I reckon? That's honestly, but I mean, I've never heard of anyone doing an interview with him. But yeah, I might try again soon. But he did turn me down. But he's on holiday at the moment, so he might be in a good mood. So I might try again. Right, a few pina coladas, and he might be on. Right, okay. So put Bill right back. Centre half, first centre half, then Tone. Well,
the first one is just a no-brainer, and it's Morrow.
Yeah.
Bobby Moore, Mr. West Ham, Mr. England. I'm not going to start on what should have happened to Bobby after he finished playing, because I think everyone shares the same opinions about that. As a player, and as I say, as a youngster, just a simple thing, not punching the ball out onto the park. It just, whatever it was, just stuck. And to watch the man play, and I still don't know. I mean, we didn't have any grass on the pitch come October, and he always used to come off clean. You know. I was watching on YouTube the other night the Brazil game, 17. My God, I mean that was something else. But then you got the Stoke game when he went in goal, and you know, Bobby Moore, captain of England, captain of West Ham United, or captain of my West Ham United as well. Yeah. But equally, there's lots of good centre halves down the years. But I'll have to mention him eventually, because I'll see him soon. Why don't you put me in? But Gailey weren't bad either.
He wasn't bad. He was all right. I mean, Gailey put himself, obviously picked himself naturally, and put himself captain, first team coach, free kick taker, and penalty taker.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what, Tony Gale could take a really good free kick as well.
Yes.
You look at the Liverpool Coventry game.
Yeah.
He was not far behind them, but yeah.
Okay.
So Bobby Moore, captain as well.
Of course, it was nailed on, wasn't it? So Bobby's in. Who's he going to partner then in the centre backs?
Alvin.
Yeah.
I think Alvin again. I remember Alvin's first few games, and we was all sort of saying, "Oh, I don't know." He looked nervous. He was a good player straight away. You could see.
Yeah.
You could see he was a proper player, but he just got nervous for the first few games. I don't know why. Well, I do know why, because like in front of the South Bank or the North Bank, if you didn't do it straight away, he's sort of someone that have a little moan up or something. But they didn't with him really, with Alvin. And then, my God, didn't he develop into another legend, another cult hero? But they use the word cult heroes and they use the word legends, and I think legends a word that's probably used all too easily now.
I agree. Yeah,
they hand it out like sweets, but I'd have Alvin in there. So far, yeah,
definitely. And I think when we interviewed Bobby Ferguson. So Bobby Ferguson, he reckoned he was in goal for Alvin's first. It was a reserve team game at QPR, and John laughs at it's just keep an eye on him. He's new. He's a bit nervous. He's a bit of a young, and Bobby went after about 5 minutes. Didn't bother. Didn't bother. He was just like you could tell he's going to be a quality player after 5 minutes, and so. Yeah, and obviously, he still lives around the area. Obviously, didn't come from around these parts, but he still lives here.
Not far from here. Yeah,
I mean, his grandson's in my daughter's year at school, and he does the school. He does the school fairs, does the tombolas and things like that.
He's a top man.
He's
I've done a few things with Alvin, but I did a 10-year memorial evening down my local club down at Benfleet Social Club for John Lyle. So Murray and Sam and Eve on the night, and we used to go and stay at the house sort of thing. So know them really well. And Murray sort of said, "Can we do something?" So I managed to get, I think I had something like 26 ex-players along on the night.
Wow.
And we had a select sort of 80 people in there as well. And unfortunately, Alvin just couldn't come. He was double booked. So were the two Tonys, funny enough. But so what we'd done, we'd had what's the guy's name? Paul Vater. Do you remember Paul Vater, the art bloke that used to do all the sketches?
Yeah.
Remember Paul? He'd done us a lovely sketch of John, and what we did, I just went with the players that couldn't make it on the night. We went around the houses, so we went around like Frank Lampard's house, Alvin's house, just getting them to sign this thing. And as soon as you phoned them up and said, "Oh, will you do?" It was a no-brainer. My friend who drove me around, he couldn't believe his luck. Like, he was getting all the photos done as well. And we presented that to the family on the night. That was good. That was a good night. And someone was talking about that the other night, actually. And someone said, "Oh, what's your fondest memory of it?" I said, "Well, obviously seeing the family, like Yvonne and Murray and Sam and all that, and young Sam, Charlie. It was a case of, there was a lot of good memories. It was bloody hard work putting it together, but I really enjoyed the night. But for me, it was a sad memory because it was the last time I saw Peter Braybrook.
Sure.
Peter was there that night, and I always said, "Oh, that's such a shame," because I like a lot of time for Peter. Yeah. Another good player as well.
Yeah.
So, sorry, mate. Yeah, so Alvin.
Right. Alvin's in. Okay, there's your back four, your goalie.
Player, really.
Yeah. Great back four, goalkeeper. Right, okay, midfield. Who's your first one of the three? They're playing 4-3-3.
Well, this is why I've gone 4-3-3, because this was so difficult. I mean, going back to when I first started going, I had Boyce in there, great player, Martin. Not just beyond that, Graham Padden, God rest him. What a player Graham Padden was. Fantastic player. But so starting on the left-hand side, because he really would kill me if I didn't put him in. Is Dev. Yeah. And I'm not saying that for any reason other than that. But I mean, I think everyone would go for Dev anyway. He's probably one of them. Someone said to me, it was one of the last few games we had at Upton Park. And I said, well, when's the last time a player really got you to stand up and you was really excited watching? I said, Alan Devonshire. Really? I said, oh yeah. I said, Alan Devonshire. He was just brilliant player, and a really nice guy as well. You know, even though I think he's a year younger than me. But I think we share the same birthday as well. But it's about all we share. Yeah. But no, Alan Devonshire, great player, great player.
Phenomenal.
And who says that you can't pick up? Someone was saying about that Ivan Tony coming to. He's come from non-league. I said, well, Alan Devonshire weren't too bad, was he? You know,
for $5,000.
Mikel Antonio ain't bad. All non-league. They're all there, these players.
They are.
You know?
But I mean, you're not going to get anything for $5,000 nowadays, like they did with Dev.
No chance. But no, so Alan Dev.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I mean, you barely get a second-hand Fiesta for $5,000 now, don't you? Where they got Alan Devonshire. So, right, I'll put Devin. Okay, who's the next one of that three then? Right,
so I'm going to put him in the middle. I know. Yeah, I will put him in the middle because it's hard. The two of them. Class lasts forever, doesn't it? So they can play anywhere. So I'm going to have Martin Peters in there. Again, as a youngster, watching I mean, we was lucky we had the Holy Trinity, didn't we? So
yeah, he did. Yeah,
but what a player Martin was. I know Brian speaks so highly of him as a person, and it was tragic what happened at the end. But I was fortunate enough to meet Martin a few times, and a lovely man as well. Really nice gentleman. And he always looked immaculate. Always had a smart tie, shirt, and all that. Lovely fella, but what a player! You know, what a good player. And someone as a kid that I can remember sort of seeing him play and think, oh, yeah, how did he do that? And you know, and he'd all go over the park Sunday morning, and you still wouldn't know how he done it. But yeah, so Martin Peters,
phenomenal player. Absolutely phenomenal player, wasn't it? Yeah. As you said, the Holy Trinity. You saw them all together, you know, and was very fortunate to do that. So, okay, so we'll put Dev. This is a great midfield. Dev, Peters. Who's next? I reckon I could guess the next one, but who's the next one?
Well, I was very fortunate. A couple of years ago, I went to Helsinki with him because the Finnish Hammers wanted to see him. So I couldn't believe me luck when he said yes, and it's Sir Trevor. Sir Trevor Brooking. Crikey, I mean, how long we got? I mean, what can you say about Trevor? I mean, obviously, the obvious thing would be 1980.
Yeah.
You know, the way John must have drilled those players to set that up off the training ground like that, to get that header, like, and get the ball in it. You know, no, I'm only joking, but I didn't care. It was just, I suppose, really, he was just one of those players, wasn't he, Trevor? He just, again, I go back to the Eintracht Frankfurt game. If you look at his goal, he was just so unique at just not touching the ball, really.
Yeah.
Just let the ball roll across him.
Everyone says that about him when they talk about Trevor. His first touch wasn't a touch. It was just the way he let the ball run with him.
He just did. It's just a gift, isn't it? Brian Deere once said, he said, you can't give anyone a skill or a talent. He said, that's born into you. He said, and it's very true. And Trevor's like that. Again, what a fantastic person he is. He does our Veterans League golf days. He comes down for things like that, and he's always the first to help out. A friend of mine whose father was dying, unfortunately, but Trevor was his hero. He wanted to meet him, so again, phoned Trevor up, and we ended up going out to lunch with James's dad, and it was lovely to see. And he was just there for him, and there was no rush. You know, I've got to go now. And he said, "Whatever you want, what do you want me to do?" And we ended up staying there all afternoon. It was he's just a genuinely nice guy, very humble, but what a player. And obviously, when he talks about Bill, you know, he said, see, how many times have you heard the story? He'd turn around to Bill and say, "He's given me a bit of a kick in here, Bill," you know, and Bill had sorted it out, you know. That's
but that's why they worked. That's why they worked the pair, wasn't it? Because he did. He helped. He was his minder, and it worked. And so, you know, if it ain't fixed, ain't broken, don't fix it. You know, if it works, it works. So,
what a player! What a good player! Absolute privilege to have seen the man play. That's all I can say. All of them so far.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Okay, we'll put Sir Trev in. So there's your three in the midfield. Right, we've got three up front. Who's your first one?
Oh, do you know what, Russ? This has been the hardest thing to do.
Right, Jonathan Kaleri, Zaza, and Midu. Done. Right, thank you, everyone.
Oh, sorry, mate. I didn't realise I'd already sent it over. God, you've left Boogers out.
Oh, he's on the bench. Don't worry.
Well, I mean, again, going back to a youngster again, Johnny Sissons used to be a really exciting player to watch. Watching John Budgie Byrne, someone else that it's not. It sounds like you're name dropping, but not. It's just through all the shows you meet people.
Of course, yeah, you
don't
do.
you? And you get on, and a lovely man that he phones from time to time, David Cross. He's one of the most.
I love Crossy. Oh, I love him. We have a right good banter. He texts me.
Yeah, he gives some good banter as well, and he is good. But he's just a genuinely nice man. I've got a lot of time and a lot of respect for Crossy. Paul Goddard, another one. You know, it's endless. So I've got to go with my first one, Pop Robson.
Oh, nice.
I'll go with Pop. He was just one of those players that just exciting to watch. Felt sorry for him because he left twice, didn't he? And we won some at the
every time he left, didn't he? Bless him.
But no, he's an exciting player to watch, Pop. And I think because we all like singing the song as well, the Pop Robson song. But no, seriously, it's he was just a good player. It was just he weren't the biggest, he weren't the quickest, but he was as strong as anything. He could hold players off, and he scored some great goals. So yeah, Pop Robson.
And also, I think what was interesting with him is with Pop is when we interviewed TC and Crossy, actually, they both basically said that Pop was their idol. He was that, you know, they loved Pop Robson when they were young, and Crossy ended up playing when he played with him, you know, and stuff like that. So it's not just Pop the player, but obviously the effect he had on, as you always mentioned, David Cross, TC, players like that as well. And I'm friends with a couple of Sunderland fans who obviously, you know, he's adored up there and stuff as well. And a great man. Look forward to talking to him soon, hopefully.
Yeah, lovely fella, really nice fella. And
right, who's next?
Right, centre forward again, no brainer, Jeff Hurst.
Yeah, I suppose you have to. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you've got the Holy Trinity in there now, haven't you? So there we go.
Well, yeah, but I wouldn't pick it on there.
No. I get that.
I'm you're sort of picking it on merit. I mean, I was just behind the goal, to the right end of the goal on the North Bank, when we had that famous penalty. And listen, as a youngster, Gordon Banks, all right, he was playing for Stoke at the time, but he was still he was the England goalkeeper, the best goalkeeper ever. But I hated him that bloody night when he saved that penalty. I couldn't believe my eyes. It was literally right in front of us, and I go, Jesus Christ, I could not believe it. But Jeff Hurst was just, and it was the beginning of the near post header, and he's Bobby Moore. I mean, the ball was like a magnet, wasn't it, when Moore got it? And look at the World Cup goals over and over again.
Course,
but Jeff was just unbelievable. What a player, what a presence as well. Jeff Hurst.
Definitely, yeah. I once had a wee next to Jeff Hurst once. There we go.
Did you?
Fame. Yeah, it was me in between Sir Jeff Hurst and Sir Clive Woodward.
Cool, that's not a bad chat.
Rose in between two thorns. Right, okay, so that's my claim to fame. So Jeff, and we've got one more spot.
Well, funny enough, you've already mentioned him, because I could see an awful lot of Pop Robson in this particular player, particular striker. And again, like I've said, there's Crossy I could put in there. But just for the amount of goals the guy scored, and yeah, he's a close friend of mine, but that shouldn't, and it's not come into it, I can assure you. I know I'm going to get slaughtered for saying that, but it's not come into it at all. It's TC, the fox in the box. He just, I mean, yeah, all right, the Tottenham, the first one, I mean, you're going to get legendary status for that alone, aren't you, scoring against them? But I just thought he was a great striker.
Yeah, he was.
Great finisher. I can see Gailey going, no, but he was TC, because as I say, I could see a lot of pop boxing. You could, but in and around the box, he was lethal.
And it's
So,
it's like a lost art now. I think that position, that sort of fox in the box now. You know, you don't get out and out strikers anymore now. You know, you mentioned like Vardy and Tony. I mean, Tony's not really a striker, but you know, you don't. They're more like forwards. You know, who link up play rather than people who are just sort of like just the goal getters, not the goal hangers. But you know what I mean? Sort of staying in that 6-yard box. You don't get them anymore now. It's a lost art. I think that sort of
probably the last one, Russ, that was close to that was probably Defoe,
yeah. I mean, I always thought Hernandez. I thought actually Chicharito was going to be the, but he didn't obviously last that long. But obviously at Man United, he was sort of like that. But you're right, Defoe, and obviously Defoe's still banging them in, despite the fact he's 38, 39. He's still, you know, he's still won the league with Rangers this season. So, you know, there's still place for that position, but it just seems like it's a lost art now, which is a shame because there's something about having a guy who literally stays within the 6-yard box. But he's there. He just has an instinct. I mean, that's always one of the criticisms of Antonio is he hasn't got that striker's instinct that you can't teach. And yeah, someone like TC. I mean, we've hit the par 23 times this season, and you know, you think half of those were banged in by a fox in the box. We'd be Champions League having a laugh, wouldn't we? Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it could even will be, you know, it could even easily. But yeah, it's one of those things. It's one of those things that sort of like. But it's the same as with wingers. I think now, again, that's a lost art. You know, sort of. But the last, you know, wingers are always on. You mentioned like Dev. You know, obviously when Dev used to fly down the wing. You know, now it's almost like you have wingers who play off the wrong foot, so they cut inside. And you know, I remember like got people like Stan Lazaridis and Matty Etherington and Matthew Rush, and they would literally go down the right side for their feet, and then get to the byline, cross it in, and if you've got a big man there, Trevor Morley or someone.
Did you say Stuart Slates?
Yes, Slates, exactly, same thing.
I mean, again, look at the goal against Everton that night. I mean, that's the thing. Even though the guys, like you said, don't get into the all-time 11, but most of those guys, you know, Crossy 4 goals away at Tottenham, you know, Gailey the free kicks with Liverpool and Coventry and all that, Dixie the penalty against Man United, you know, Johnny Sears, where I could go on Budgie. All those players, Ray Stewart, the penalties, the goalkeepers, they might not have made my particular 11, but they've all provided me with some fantastic memories.
Of course.
Just pulling on that claret and blue shirt, you know. And
well, that's the thing. I mean, even when we interview people who have played like, you know, I don't know, like a lot of the youth team players who maybe have made one appearance, or you know, people like, I don't know, Adam Newton or Lee Odgies, or people like, you know, sort of in the early 90s, late 90s, 2000s, you know, they might have pulled the shirt on once, but we'd give our whole life to have done that once, isn't it? So it's like, as you said, it doesn't matter if they played one game or 799.
Cross that line just once, just for 20 minutes would have just made it, wouldn't it? You know, it's a dream.
I mean, Jordan Hugel never got to do that. Jordan Hugel never got to, you know, walk out to the bubbles like he wanted to when he first signed from Preston North End. But we'd all love to have done that just once. And
just once,
yeah. It's amazing. That's why I love talking to, you know, they've done stuff we wanted to dream about.
We've got the other memories, haven't we? We've got the camaraderie amongst all your mates going down to
Well, we've got the great sort of. That's what I love about West Ham, because there's so much debate about West Ham, because we have these sliding doors moments. What if? You know, what if Hayden Mullins hadn't got sent off at the FA Cup final? You know, the game before the FA Cup final. What if Payet hadn't got injured this season? What if Declan Rice hadn't got injured? You know, because they haven't won anything, we've got these what if debates, and that's what I love about West Ham fans.
What if Scolari hadn't put it into Rose Ed?
Exactly. What if Fabianski hadn't got injured and what's his face and Roberto came on, and you know, Pellegrini? Where would we be now? You know what I mean? What if they'd have just kept Davy Moyes rather than pointed Pellegrini? We'd be 18 months on further to the programme than we are now. But anyway.
I've been asked one question. People say to me, have I got any regrets? You can't have any regrets about results, because one, as a supporter, you can't change that. That's down to the left out of the pitch. So I've never had any regrets. I've been pissed off at times. You think, like you said, why haven't we done it? But that's all part of being a football supporter.
Yep.
But my only, I suppose it is a regret. Was that the right word? I don't know. Was, you know what I'm going to say, was leaving my beloved Upton Park.
Yeah, no, I understand.
It's where you started going. You got the memories of your granddad and your dad and all the rest of it, and all the wonderful nights, the Eintracht night and all that. And I understand that it all has to progress and all that, but I only wish that we'd gone to a proper football ground.
I think we will. I think it's going to take time. I think it's going to take time. I think, you know, of all these things. I mean, as you said, we're at Upton Park for near on 100 years, and so, you know, it wasn't, you know, when it was a bit rainy and the district line was down, and it wasn't the most accessible place to get to. Let's be honest. That long trudge when you get to Upton Park and realize it's closed, you have to trudge all the way back to Barking. You know, people forget about things like that. And you're right. It's I think it's more about the spiritual home of it being there.
I think it's the habit as well. I mean,
it's a habit.
Because when I went across to the London Stadium when we started over there, unfortunately my wife's disabled, so we ended up in really good seats, you know, right behind the goal at the Brooklyn end. You couldn't have asked for a better view. But the problem is, my mates were at the other end over there down.
Of course, yeah.
And when we got there, because we had the car parking space, you didn't see anyone. There was nowhere to go, and that was the culture shock for me. All of a sudden, I've been lifted out the East End Working Men's Club, or going up the old Prince.
No, I get that.
Duke of Edinburgh when that was there, and it was all the. I don't know if you remember the Prince of Wales round the corner that got knocked down. Do you remember? That used to be our post-match like watering on. We had some great nights in there, and that's all lost.
It is, yeah.
But I do get it. I do get it now with the 10 and 11-year-olds or the 8-year-old Tony Hoskins that are going to the stadium now.
Yeah,
that's their memories now, isn't it?
It is, and it's horrible
it's got to evolve.
It is, and it's horrible to think of that.
It's true.
The move isn't necessarily for you. It is for Florence. It is for Florence. It's your Florence and my Florence. And,
absolutely,
and it will be. And
I get that.
And I know it has been hard, but I think the fact is, if we'd moved and we had the team and the season we've had now, it wouldn't have been so much of a heartache. Do you know what I mean? That's the way I see it. The fact is, this is our first decent season. I think.
I think they're full house and European nights, and I really hope, really
exactly
hope they pack it out and get off onto a good start.
Exactly.
Obviously, we need to increase squad numbers. Yeah. I mean, not necessarily quantity, but quality as well. That's the difficult thing there. Every Premier manager would want Soucek, wouldn't they? That's exactly the type of player that people want now. Box to box, strong, scores goals, and all that.
And also, I mean, the fact is, you know, it's one of those things where, and you know, we're in a somewhat of a position now where we can go and buy, you know, a reasonably priced striker. We can, but I don't. But the part of me doesn't want to do that. Part of me wants to go out and buy another Soucek or another Soufal. Because we as fans love to see guys coming in, and you know, like, you know, you mentioned like Craig Dawson and people like that. You know, these guys, we can give a hope. You know, we like Craig Dawson. You know, Soufal, we bathed because he was like £5 million. Like, what can you get for £5 million nowadays? We love being proved wrong. And we have been proved wrong, and that's why I'd like to see, you know, that the investment to get a few players in who can progress. And I think nowadays you can go to the Championship, you can buy your Jarrod Bowens, you could buy, you know, there's a couple of guys from Reading, you could buy them, bring them into the team. If they perform great, we've got now Soufal, we've got a 50, 60, 70 million pound player, no problem. If they don't, well, you can sell them and still make a profit on them, and that's again something which we've done rather than go out and buy or get a journeyman in who's going to cost you money and you're not going to get return on investment.
We've been there and done that so many times.
We've done it. So we did it, and arguably probably the last time we did it properly was probably that Redknapp era, because we had Ruddock and Ian Wright, and literally it was an old boys club, but it was the right mix. So it's going to be exciting this summer.
It's like you say, as long as they come in and try, that's all I ever ask.
Exactly.
If they come in, put the shirt on and understand it straight away, they'll get it. Get out there and sort of give it their best.
Of course.
I love to see that. I do love to see that. And remember Peter Butler?
Oh, my favourite player of all time.
He come from like lower league, but my Christ, didn't he put in a shift for West Ham?
He
Some
did.
great players like that down the years. Really good players.
And that's what we want, is those type of players. That's what I love about it. That's what I love about it. But
But
there's
that don't
the squad, Tone. There's the squad looking good, mate.
That don't look too shabby, does it?
Don't look too shabby. Champions League and having a laugh. Anyway,
Cool.
Tony, thank you very, very much for your time, man. An hour and 20 has
Absolute
literally
pleasure.
flown by.
Absolute
Love
pleasure,
listening to all the
Russ.
stories. Thank you so much. And obviously,
No problem.
thanks everyone for watching. If you know, hope well done getting to the end. Congratulations. If you give it a like, give it a share, give it a subscribe, all that good stuff. And for myself and for Tony, take care, everyone. Stay safe. Wash those hands. Get those jabs when you get your appointments. Come on, you irons, and I'll see you again very, very soon. Take care, everyone.
Dixie, I still want that beer. Right.
Okay.